Michael Jackson had one of the most shocking transformations in music history. Over the years, his face changed so much, he looked like an entirely different person. Let's look at the evolution of the former King of Pop's face as we answer the question, how many surgeries did Michael Jackson have? Jackson was in the public eye almost from birth. He began his music career at just 6 years old in 1964, where he played congas, tambourine, and sang with his family band, the Jackson 5. His abnormal family dynamic and rise to fame as a child star left the young Michael Jackson feeling lonely and isolated. And those feelings would continue into adulthood as he rose to become the highest-selling album artist of all time with his 1982 album, Thriller. Throughout his career, he spent over 40 years in the public eye, and over time, reporters quickly noticed his frequent trips to his plastic surgeon. Although he denied the majority of his plastic surgeries, a time-lapse of photos shows a striking story. Michael Jackson got his first nose job back in 1979. Nose surgery was the only operation he ever admitted to. But even his story about his nose changed over the years. At first, he said he got this procedure because he broke his nose during a dance rehearsal.
So why are you so defensive when people say Mick Jagger's had one, Paul McCartney may have had one, Michael Jackson's had one?
They don't do it that way.
What do? They
just pick on me like I'm the only one that does it. That's why.
Unsatisfied with his first nose job, Michael Jackson went back to his surgeon and got a second nose job to correct the first. However, the second surgery left Jackson with breathing difficulties, so his doctor, Stephen Hoffman, said Michael's nose required further work.
I've had no plastic surgery on my face, just my nose. It helped me breathe better so I can hit higher notes.
The third time seemed like the charm for MJ's nose. But then in 1988, Michael's chin changed overnight. Now he had a cleft chin that wasn't there before. The only answer, plastic surgery. Over the next few years, Michael went wild with surgeries. Dr. Wallace Goodstein claimed Michael visited his office for a new procedure every 2 months for 2 whole years from 1990 to 1992. That means Michael Jackson had another 12 plastic surgeries just in those 2 years alone. As the 90s marched on, the paparazzi cataloged more changes to Michael Jackson's face. His nose got thinner, and his skin began to rapidly change colors from brown to white. By the late 90s, Dr. Goodstein said Jackson had multiple nose jobs, cheek implants, and had a cleft put in his chin. He had eyelid surgery. You name it, he had it. In 2001, Jackson's surgeon, Dr. Hoffman, spoke out about Jackson's constant surgery, saying, "My job is to try to make people happy. In the case of high-level entertainers, the result may not be what the average person would want. But remember, these are performers who want to create a certain image for a special reason." Of course, when people began questioning Michael's ever-changing nose, he deflected the question again. By 2005, Jackson had to turn to another cosmetic surgeon, this time Dr. Arnold Klein. Around this time, Klein reportedly had to completely rebuild Jackson's nose since it was caving in. He used what are called fillers to reshape the pop star's nose.
Using fillers, I used Restylane, I used hyaluronic acids, and they worked very well. And it's an arduous procedure because you don't want to put too much in, and you have to do it exactly so you can flow the material so it's perfectly smooth.
This is one of the last times Michael Jackson was documented with a plastic surgery while he was alive, as he spent the last few years of his life in seclusion. So, how many total surgeries did Michael Jackson have? Well, a 2015 documentary titled The 10 Faces of Michael Jackson claimed that Jackson had over 100 procedures done on his face over his lifetime. It wasn't just the nose job that sparked tabloid interest in the star. Around the time he released Thriller, Michael Jackson's skin color began to lighten as he grew more and more pale. He was diagnosed with skin condition known as vitiligo, where white patches of skin became more sensitive to light. To treat vitiligo, Jackson used light-colored makeup and skin whitening creams to prevent his skin from looking patchy. But despite his very real condition, his obvious cosmetic surgeries led many news outlets to speculate that the King of Pop was trying to make himself look white. The rumor spread like wildfire that Michael Jackson was bleaching his skin as another crazy cosmetic procedure. He was also diagnosed with lupus, an autoimmune disorder that may have been responsible for his vitiligo. Media outlets criticized Jackson, calling him a poor role model for black youth, pointing to the changes to his skin tone without acknowledging the underlying medical condition. In a 1993 interview with Oprah Winfrey, Jackson denied the skin bleaching allegations, saying, "As I know of, there is no such thing as skin bleaching. I've never seen it. I don't know what it is."
Okay, number one, as I know of, there is no such thing as skin bleaching. I have never seen it. I don't know what it is.
While he had an official medical diagnosis to fall back on, Jackson's denial of the procedures didn't sit well with fans. After all, this was almost an identical response to his plastic surgeries. So, if changing his skin color and face shape wasn't about racial identity, why did he do it? Well, Michael Jackson's desire to change his face from something much deeper and far more tragic than many fans could have guessed during his lifetime. Michael's friend, a professional illusionist named Uri Geller, said the King of Pop was changing his appearance to not look like his father. So why did he get so many surgeries, and why did he want to have a dad? Over the years, others from the Jackson family told the media that Michael's dad would whip him and verbally abuse him, as well as telling him that he had a fat nose, which likely led to body dysmorphic disorder.
So he would tease you, make fun of you?
Yes.
Did he ever beat you?
Yes, he did. Yes. He was very strict, very hard, very stern. And just a look would scare you.
Despite all his success, fame, money, and millions of fans, Jackson might have been permanently uncomfortable in his own skin. But in front of a television audience of over 62 million people, Jackson denied those claims, stating, "When people make up stories that I don't want to be who I am, it hurts me. It's a problem for me. I can't control it. But what about all the millions of people who sit in the sun to become darker, to become other than what they are? Nobody says nothing about that." On top of all of the personal struggles Jackson dealt with as a child, he clearly pushed himself throughout his career, which often led to health problems along the way. During a commercial shoot in 1984, Jackson's hair caught on fire, and he had to be treated for scalp burns that no doubt led to additional cosmetic surgeries. Then, in 1990, Jackson went to the hospital with chest pains. It turned out he had suffered bruised ribs from going too hard in his dance routine. Jackson had numerous colds during his long reign as the King of Pop, and some even progressed to laryngitis. Toward the end of his life, he became increasingly germophobic and would rarely be seen in public without his face fully covered with a scarf, and he would don shades and an umbrella to prevent the sun from damaging his pale skin. It's possible his constant surgeries were just his way of grinding in the music industry, always finding a new way to update his look. Either way, his perfectionism ended up being his downfall. After so much abuse and his personal issues, Jackson became dependent on drugs as well, which inevitably led to his death in 2009. Tombs of Benequin and hydroquinone were found in his home. And that's the story of Michael Jackson's hundreds of plastic surgeries. It's hard to believe the most popular person in the world would hate his own face. But there is a silver lining. Even though Jackson suffered through life, he left behind unforgettable music that fans will love for the rest of time.
The fire's in their eyes and their words are really clear, so beat it.
What are some of your favorite Michael Jackson songs? Let us know in the comments. Give the video a like and subscribe, and we'll see you next time.